General Kane, one last question for you. Should soldiers have to pledge political loyalty to participate in an event with our commander-in-chief? Yes or no, please.
Sir, I'm not, first, no, I'm not aware of any time in history that soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines have been asked to do that. I think
this has been a bad week for the Army. For anyone who cares about us being a neutral institution, this was shameful. If those are the facts, and I know the Army is investigating at least the MAGA pop-up shop. Secretary Hegseth, are you familiar with DoD Directive 1344.10? Political activities of the members of the armed forces?
Well, first off, I don't buy into
yes
your
or no?
insinuation
that
pledges are being done under this administration. That's
I reclaim my time.
Welcome back to MAGA Capital, the channel where we proudly stand for America, liberty, and the principles that make this nation great. If you're tired of the mainstream narrative and want the true, unapologetic patriot perspective, you're in the right place. Before we dive into today's critical topic, hit that like button and subscribe. Share this video with your friends and family who believe in putting America first. We need your support to keep pushing the truth forward. Let's get into it. Today, we're going to break down and react to a heated congressional exchange involving General Kane, Secretary Hegseth, and Congressman Ryan. The topic? The alleged politicization of our military and the events that unfolded at Fort Bragg just a few days ago. Let me tell you something, folks. This is an issue that cuts deep, and it's time we address it head on. It's important to note that Congressman Ryan started his questioning with a seemingly neutral tone, claiming he wanted to discuss the issue as a patriot and not as a partisan. But let's be real here. His line of questioning was anything but neutral. This is yet another classic example of how the left tries to weaponize our institutions, including the military, to push their anti-American woke agenda. First of all, the core of Ryan's concern was that soldiers at Fort Bragg were allegedly told to speak with leadership and request reassignment if they disagreed politically with the current administration. He also highlighted reports of a pop-up shop selling MAGA merchandise on post. Let's pause here for a moment. The left is losing their minds over a MAGA hat. Think about that. A simple hat with the words, "Make America Great Again," is now considered a threat by these people. Why? Because it represents everything they hate: patriotism, pride in our country, and a rejection of their radical globalist agenda. The fact that this was even brought up in a congressional hearing is ridiculous. Are we really supposed to believe that a MAGA hat is a bigger problem than the woke indoctrination being pushed on our troops under the guise of diversity training? Give me a break. Let's watch the full Senate hearing, and I'll be giving my full response and reaction afterwards.
Goes back. Chair, and I recognize the gentleman from New York, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you both for being here. We have all worn the uniform. We've all served in combat. We all love our country. We all revere our troops. And I really want to speak with you both, not as partisans, but as patriots. And I want to talk specifically about the events at Fort Bragg the other day. General Kane, I want to start with you. As a junior officer, were you ever required to make a pledge of political loyalty? Yes or no?
Sir, as you know, we're an apolitical military, so, no.
Thank you. At any time in your 30-plus years of incredibly distinguished service, did you have to make a pledge of partisan or political loyalty?
No, sir.
Thank you. Did you ever serve in any unit or command at any level where service members were required to make a pledge of political loyalty?
No, sir.
Thank you. And I want to commend you. You've been on the record on this, including in your confirmation hearings where you clarified, quote, "I've never worn any political merchandise or said anything to that effect." I appreciate that. That is the standard, and commend you for saying so and continuing to model that. General Kane, one last question for you. Should soldiers have to pledge political loyalty to participate in an event with our commander-in-chief? Yes or no, please.
Sir, I'm not, first, no, I'm not aware of any time in history that soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines have been asked to do that. I think,
I'm sorry, General, I do want to, just in the interest of time, I want to talk about what happened at Fort Bragg 2 days ago. There was guidance put out, and this has been verified by multiple independent news outlets, saying, quote, These are to the soldiers of the 18th Airborne Corps and U.S. Army. If soldiers have political views that are in opposition to the current administration, then they need to speak with their leadership and get swapped out. This is swapped out of the event with the president. In addition, in an incredibly disturbing incident, there was a pop-up shop selling MAGA merchandise on post at Fort Bragg. And to summarize this, there was a commander from Bragg who said on the record, quote, "This has been a bad week for the Army, for anyone who cares about us being a neutral institution. This was shameful." If those are the facts, and I know the Army is investigating at least the MAGA pop-up shop, is that appropriate, General Kane?
Sir, I haven't seen any of these reports. I'm not familiar with them, but as I mentioned earlier and in my confirmation hearing, the nation demands a apolitical, nonpartisan military.
I appreciate you saying that and happy to share those reports. Secretary Hegseth, are you familiar with DoD Directive 1344.10? Political activities of the members of the armed forces?
Well, first off, I don't buy
Are you-
into your
yes or no? Are you
insinuation
familiar
that pledges
with-
are being done under this administration. That's
I
your
reclaim my
insinuation.
time. Are you familiar with this DoD directive?
There's never one time in my service or in this
Mr.
Defense
Secretary, will
Department.
you please
I'm
answer
answering your
these
question
questions?
where politics has been considered for service members.
Are you familiar with this directive? Yes or no?
Which directive?
DoD Directive 1344.10. I'm happy to provide you a copy. There's even a one-page red and green cheat sheet. Are you familiar with it? This is the same directive from when we were all in uniform.
I'm sure I am.
Has anything changed in that directive under your guidance, given what happened 2 days ago at Fort Bragg? Is there a new policy change that we're not aware of?
Again, I totally reject your insinuation.
Is there a policy change to DoD Directive 1344.10?
I know what you're attempting to insinuate, but there's
I'll
no
take that as a
policy
no.
change and there is no policy.
Mr. Secretary, have you ever worn a MAGA hat in front of the troops?
I own plenty of MAGA hats, but I don't.
Have you ever
know that I
worn
have.
one in front of the troops at an official event? I don't
I'm
believe
aware
so.
of.
I don't believe so. Do you think it's appropriate for the President of the United States to wear political merchandise, including a MAGA hat, at official events, including West Point commencement?
The Commander-in-Chief
Yes or no?
can wear whatever hat he wants to include the phrase, "Make America Great Again," because I would like to
you
make
think
America
that's-
great again as well.
So you think that's appropriate?
The Commander-in-Chief has the right in front of his troops to wear whatever he'd like.
Okay, I strongly disagree with you. And I urge you both, especially you, General Kane, as we see an increasingly political rhetoric, including from the Secretary, to please, for the good of our troops, this is an incredibly difficult moment, and we need leaders like you to continue to echo the apolitical nature. I have 12 seconds. Mr. Secretary, I don't say this lightly. I have to say this on the record. I think your tenure as Secretary of Defense has been shameful and weak, and you should resign. I yield back.
Gentlemen.
Now, let's talk about General Kane's response. When asked if soldiers should ever have to pledge political loyalty, he firmly said no. And you know what? He's absolutely right. Our military should remain apolitical. But here's the kicker. What Congressman Ryan and his ilk fail to acknowledge is that the politicization of the military didn't start with MAGA hats or President Trump. It started under the Obama administration when they began injecting social engineering into the armed forces. Remember when they prioritized gender pronouns and sensitivity training over combat readiness? That's the real politicization, folks. And speaking of political loyalty, let's not forget how the left treats the military when they dare to express conservative views. If you're a soldier who supports conservative values, you're labeled as a threat, but if you toe the woke line, you're celebrated. The double standard is glaring, and it's tearing our military apart from the inside. Now, let's address Secretary Hegseth's remarks. When asked if it's appropriate for the Commander-in-Chief to wear political merchandise like a MAGA hat, Hegseth responded that the President has the right to wear whatever he wants. And he's absolutely correct. Let's not forget, President Trump is not just a politician. He's a symbol of the movement to restore American greatness. The left wants to strip him of that right because they fear the power of his message. MAGA isn't just a slogan. It's a rallying cry for millions of Americans who are fed up with the left's attempts to dismantle our country. But here's the most outrageous part of the hearing. Congressman Ryan had the audacity to tell Secretary Hegseth to resign, calling his tenure shameful and weak. Let me tell you something, folks. This is the same tired tactic we've seen from the left time and time again. They attack anyone who dares to stand up against their agenda. Secretary Hegth has been a strong defender of our military's apolitical nature, yet Ryan attacks him for not bowing to the woke mob. It's disgraceful. And let's talk about Ryan's so-called concern for the military being a neutral institution. Where was that concern when the Biden administration forced woke ideology down the throats of our service members? Where was that concern when they prioritized social justice over national security? The hypocrisy is astounding. Let's not forget, folks, that the left's ultimate goal is to undermine our military and weaken its effectiveness. They don't want a strong, patriotic force that stands ready to defend this great nation. They want a politically correct, neutered institution that panders to their agenda. And that's exactly why they're so triggered by something as simple as a MAGA hat. It's a symbol of resistance to their destructive ideology. As patriots, we need to stand up and fight back against this nonsense. We need to support leaders like President Trump and Secretary Hegth who are willing to defend our values. And we need to call out hypocrites like Congressman Ryan who claim to care about the military while pushing policies that undermine its very foundation. Call to action. If you're as outraged as I am about what's happening to our military, make sure to like this video and subscribe to MAGA Capital. Share this video with everyone you know who loves this country and wants to see it thrive. We need to get this message out there, folks. The future of our nation depends on it. And remember, no matter how much the left tries to silence us, we will never back down. We will always stand for America, for freedom, and for the principles that make this country great. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. God bless America.